Hey Crafty fam, it's Alex Vanover and welcome back to my channel, DIY Alex. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to layer heat transfer vinyl, or HTV. So before we get started with all of that stuff, let's talk about what layering HTV actually means. And anytime you are using more than one color of HTV in the same project, that is considered layering. Whether or not those layers of HTV overlap doesn't matter. More than one color equals layering. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But before we get started, I want to show you a couple of resources that I want you to have either bookmarked on your computer, or I want you to have an actual printed copy out in front of you, because they're really going to help you make this so much easier, and I think everybody should have a copy of these in their craft room. The first one looks like this, and it's called the Cutter Settings document at 651vinyl.com. In case you guys don't know, not only do I have my channel DIY Alex, but I also work for 651vinyl.com, and we have this great resource called the Cutter Settings document that has all the different kinds of HTV that we carry on our site. And it gives you the cut settings that you need for your machine, as well as the settings to press for that HTV. And that's going to be really important when you're mixing different kinds of HTV in the same project. The second document looks like this, and it's called the layering document, also at 651vinyl.com. And I want you to have that in front of you because it gives you some really important information. It tells you, first of all, whether or not the heat transfer vinyl you're using can be layered at all, because some HTV cannot have any other HTVs overlapped with it. You can usually use it in the same project, but it can't have other HTVs overlapping. Some HTV can be the middle layer, but some cannot, so that means that it has other vinyl layered over top of it. Or lastly, some HTV can only be the top layer of the design, but it cannot have other layers of vinyl layered on top of it. So that layering document teaches you all of that stuff for all of the kinds of vinyl that we carry. You can find them both at 651vinyl.com, but I will also link them both in the description. And if you don't know how to get to the description, if you're on your cell phone, scroll down to where you see the title of the video, and just to the right of it, there's a little triangle pointing down, and that's how when you tap that, that's how you go down into the description of the video. So those will both be there for you, and those are both completely free, so make sure that you check those out and get those printed. So let's get started. So after your design is cut and weeded, and of course you're going to cut that on a mirrored setting because this is heat transfer vinyl, the next step is to assemble your design the way that you're going to press it on the shirt. But there's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind as you are assembling your design. And the first thing to keep in mind, you're going to layer your design with the HTV that needs the highest temperature in the back so it can be pressed first, because you're going to press at those hot temperatures, and then you're going to work your press all the way down as you get to the lower temperatures. So for example, this is Caesar Glitter HTV, which applies at 320 degrees. This is Caesar Electric HTV, which applies at 305 degrees. And this is Starcraft Soft Flex, which applies at 285 degrees. So I'm going to put down this layer first, and then the electric layer, and then the Soft Flex layer, and turn my press down in between each press. So keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and layer this design the way that it's going to be applied to our kitchen towel. All right, so here's the way that the design is going to apply onto our kitchen towel. So let's go over to the heat press and I'll show you the technique for this. The first step to layering your HTV is to make sure that you don't have any wrinkles in your material. So I'm going to be using a tea towel from IKEA, and the first thing that I'm going to do is press it down for maybe 5 or 6 seconds, enough to get some of these wrinkles out. I do have the center of the towel kind of lined up already on my press, so that helps a little bit, but we're going to get these wrinkles out before we do anything else. This also gives me a chance to check my pressure. I would say it's between medium and firm, which is going to be just perfect for my glitter HTV. So the wrinkles are still there, but that's okay because they'll get a lot better. So the first thing that I'm going to do is put my entire design on my kitchen towel, and then I'm going to peel off the layers that I'm not pressing this time, just leaving behind one layer at a time. So once I feel that I have this straight and where I want it, I'm going to hold down the glitter layer and peel away the other layers. And in this press, I'm just going to tack it for 5 seconds, just long enough to get this clear carrier sheet off of the design so that I can move along to the next layers. As you can see, my press is set to 320, which is what I need for glitter. All right, so now I'm going to peel off this carrier sheet. And I'm going to put the other 2 layers back into the design to make sure that it looks just right. And then I'll peel off the top layer and leave the next layer behind. And I'm going to turn my press down to 305 degrees for the Caesar electric. So now that my press is going to be cooling down, I'm going to put my design back onto my kitchen towel, and then I'm going to leave behind only the next layer to be pressed, which is the pink hearts of the Caesar electric. So while we're waiting for my press to cool down, I want to give you guys a couple more tips about layering. If you're making a t-shirt, is if you are doing multiple, like several layers, like 5, 6 layers of HTV, that can make the design feel pretty thick on a t-shirt. So that might be something you want to keep in mind. If you've got tons of layers and colors, you may want to consider Starcraft printable transfers for your design. So now that my press is cooled down to 305, I'm going to do the next press, and again, I'm only going to tack it for 5 seconds. I'm also going to turn my pressure down a little bit because electric doesn't need as much pressure as glitter HTV does. All right, so now I'm going to peel this carrier sheet. And last but not least, I'm going to place my last layer over top my design after I turn down my press to 285 so that I can press my soft flex. Okay, so now that my final layer is on top of my design, I'm gonna press this design for the full 15 seconds, even though it's only at 285 degrees, so that we don't overpress the soft flex. And that's it, our design is finished. And that's it, Crafty fam. That's really how simple layering HTV can be. But I forgot to mention, and I want to make sure you guys know, that if you're using a design with all the same kind of HTV, or it presses at all the same temperature and pressure, then there's no need to turn your press down in between each press. You're just going to tack each layer for 5 seconds the way that we did, and then the final press needs to be however much time your HTV needs, which is typically 15 or 20 seconds, but it just depends on the type of HTV. But if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to drop those in the comments for me. And if you decide to try layering HTV, please make sure you tag me if you post it on Facebook or Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/DIY Alex Vanover or on Instagram at DIY Alex Vanover. I will link both social media channels in the description for you. I hope we can craft again soon.